Hey gang. Today I want to talk about YouTube, generative AI, and a slightly worrying trend I've been noticing recently. And the story begins down in the comments section. See, I've had a few funny comments over the past few months, and I'm not talking about your garden variety silly nonsense, not even lazy chuddery. No, comments like this. That was left the other day on my recent Derry Girls / One Last Scene video, and at first glance, it seems innocuous, if a little odd. What appear to be broad summaries of the video's sections, along with timestamps. It's just someone helpfully divvying up the video into thematic chunks for the benefit of the viewer, right? I mean, I do that already, but nothing wrong with a bit more detail, I guess. Oh, what's this? All the way at the bottom. Recapped using TammyAI? This isn't the first comment I've had like this. A couple of weeks before, on that Bob Iger video, someone else had posted a summary by TammyAI. I'm pretty confident there were at least a few similar comments before that too, but they've either been flagged, deleted, or have simply sunk beyond the retrieving powers of YouTube's comment search tool. This isn't a video about just a couple of comments though, because stuff like this is starting to show up beyond the comment section. Not long ago, I stumbled on this, an article TLDRing the video I made a while back on techno-feudalism and the Unity controversy, stuffed full of ads for the AI summary platform's own app. This page isn't for the utility of pillar of garbage viewers, it's for Atify users checking the economics and finance summaries section. And today, as of writing, I came across an example of this in the wild. One of the top comments on a thread in Reddit's r/global offensive discussing a new video by esports personality Richard Lewis is an AI-generated summary of the video in question, a summary other users are reacting to in lieu of the linked video. So what's going on here? Too long didn't watch? Atify? TammyAI? What are these mysterious phrases and names? Will we ever know who or what is behind this summary trend? Why this is oh, hang on, I just googled TammyAI. Turns out it's an online app a la ChatGPT where you can paste a YouTube URL for a quick timestamped summary. Atify is largely similar. Oh, look at this. TammyAI even has a video up. Let's watch some of it together.
Have you ever been down the rabbit hole of YouTube videos, only to wish you could grasp the essence of a video without watching the entire thing?
Oh, we're being advertised to by a deepfake. That's a good sign.
Imagine a tool that harnesses the power of AI to unravel YouTube's content mysteries in mere seconds. Brace yourselves for a YouTube experience like no other, courtesy of TammyAI.
Look, I'm not going to play you this whole thing. It's linked below if you're that curious. It's pretty much more of this, but I am going to dig a little into the language TammyBot uses. Here's a quick sampler of the type of phrases I'm interested in.
Say goodbye to time-consuming searches, the key to unlocking YouTube's potential. In a world flooded with videos, TammyAI is your compass, guiding you straight to the heart of the content, unveiling the core of any YouTube video. Summary that encapsulates the video's essence. Say goodbye to tedious scrolling through lengthy videos.
So TammyAI pitches itself as the cure for a world flooded with videos, a world of tedious scrolling through lengthy videos, in which YouTube's potential needs to be unlocked, where only the heart of the content, the core of the video really matters. What's imagined here is YouTube as a giant content haystack, full of a few now easily retrievable needles. Each video is only worthwhile for the pips of meaning or information which can be extracted, either by an exhaustive process of watching it, or preferably by having a large language model slice through the filler of writing and editing and performance, and withdraw a rough approximation of some parts. Okay, no, to be fair, that isn't quite it. Parts of TammyAI's video do half-heartedly set up another use case. You could use the recap powers of tools like this as an aid to video watching, to figure out what specifically you want to find out in a video and get right there.
But hold on, we're not done yet. Ever wanted to know what questions a video addresses? The Let's Chat key/ands feature opens the door to a world of insights. Just like flipping through a conversation, TammyAI presents you with all the topics covered in the video, ready to be explored.
But recalling the rest of this promo, the language it uses, the content philosophy it seems to draw upon, thinking about the way people are using it on my videos, which don't tend to be collections of individual facts or questions, but meandering attempts to get to the heart of one thing, thinking about the way those Redditors who read that summary comment were immediately content responding to that summary instead of the video, It does seem the growing number, the thousands who are using tools like this either directly or indirectly, aren't using them like this, that this part is largely a fiction. So here's my big hot take. This whole thing is bad. I don't like this, but it's not straightforwardly bad. It's bad in a few different ways. One is a more abstract sort of badness. This past year, a lot of folks, maybe most notably Patrick H. Willems, have been talking about the negatives of what might be termed content culture, the way algorithmic pressures have driven a shift in the way many view online creative work, the way it's become quantified sludge, no longer individual works of critique or art, but a sequence of homogeneous products. We'll talk some more about this aspect nearer the video's end, but this is part of it, right? To view videos as all but empty husks containing a small handful of easily summarizable insights to provide tools facilitating this far more disposable mode of video interaction is to wave the content culture flag proudly, to contribute to its corporate-minded homogenizing. So I think stuff like this is bad in that kind of abstract way, but it's also bad in a few direct and specific ways, 3 to be precise. Let's talk about these ways. In ascending order of badness, 1. The viewing experience. If we are to engage with, again, what I'm convinced is at least partially a fiction, the idea that stuff like the TammyAI recaps in the comments aren't supposed to replace the video but augment it, to provide better timestamps, better tools for watching and rewatching, if we're talking about anything other than like top 10 countdown lists, seeing stuff like this pop up down below the video player is going to hurt the viewer's experience as often as it helps it. Even with more straightforwardly factual content, pacing matters. Writing those isn't just revealing information, it's revealing information in the best order. Writing around what a viewer knows and what they don't at any given point is an important part of creating engaging work. And this is obviously true in a much bigger way for videos with a more narrative focus, or video essays which build and twist and turn. When people click on my Dairy Girls video, I don't want them to know it starts with a cold open talking about something else. Imagine if one of these was below a Jacob Geller video. If you clicked on 3 specific kinds of terror, and YouTube decided to shove a time-stamped list of what he's talking about and when in your face, how much of that video's delightful sense of unrolling would be lost? Creators have tools to let you know what's coming and when. Chapters, descriptions, pinned comments even. If they haven't used them in exhaustive detail, that is probably on purpose. 2. The subsumption of voice. So here's another thing I don't like. Look at this summary, for instance. I ran that Unity video through TammyAI just to get a comparison with the other AI recap of it. But which parts of this are drawn directly from my writing, which parts are quotes, and which are AI-ified anonymous paraphrasing? It's hard for me to remember, and I wrote the video. A reader's gonna have no clue. My voice blends seamlessly into the power-washed, corporate, at times nonsensical newspeak. Businessmen prioritize money over historical economic theories. Techno-feudalism concept expanded to encompass modern economic structure. What? It's all kinda the stuff I wrote, and kinda definitely not. The personal, my voice is at once ground away into nothingness and subsumed into the universal. I dislike that very much. Reading that today people aspire to capture value rather than create it, a TammyAI user is going to think one of 2 things. Either, wow, what a nifty summary by Tammy of this video, or wow, what a great line by Pillar of Garbage Tammy has picked up on. But both of these are wrong. I'm quoting Cory Doctorow there. His voice, his work disappears utterly in either AI summary of that video, subsumed into large language waffle, and he's far from the only one. The people I'm quoting and who are cited in these videos are stripped of their credits. 8ify did catch one, noticed I was quoting Tom Goodwin at one point, so that would be slightly better if it didn't get the quote wrong. 3. It's wrong. Tom Goodwin didn't write that the interface layer of companies like Uber and Airbnb is where all the value and profit lies. He wrote that the companies are interfaces between supply systems and consumers. Believe it or not, that's an important distinction. It's not the only important distinction these large language models steamrolled over. There are a lot of similarly garbled moments in these summaries. TammyAI's recap under my Bob Iger video misses that the film I'm discussing didn't perform poorly in the height of the pandemic, but that details of the film's production during the pandemic were used retrospectively by Iger in an alleged scapegoating effort. This line doesn't mean or refer to anything. The Dairy Girls recap starts by informing you that I'm talking about the last scene of Homer's Iliad, which I am not. It's a last scene. Not quite the last scene, that's the funeral that follows. A few lines later, we're told that the episode's conflict revolves around a clash between Erin and Orla's birthday parties, which A, is not the case. I say in the video that it seems like this will be the episode's conflict until the actual conflict comes up, and B, couldn't be the case because the problem is that Erin and Orla have to share one birthday party. Other false claims here include the idea that the similarities I'm observing between a poem and the show are intentional. I don't claim this. I say it's possible, but spend more time talking about how intentionality is irrelevant here, and the idea that I'm talking about trauma being normalized after a ceasefire, when the opposite is in fact true. But it's not just Tammy. Atify's TLDRing of my Unity video describes techno-feudalism as a system by which companies exploit workers and customers for profit, which isn't describing anything specific to the concept of techno-feudalism, and instead describes just standard recipe capitalism. The question of whether or not there is a substantive difference between the two, whether the principles of techno-feudalism are unique enough to merit being approached as kind of its own little tumor-like outgrowth of capitalism, or whether doing so misses the point, is one that has been asked. What do you know, I even touch on that in the video, but here all that fades to nothing behind a misleading attempt at definition. That's the sort of nuance any knowledgeable human wouldn't miss, but the sort an AI tool, and by extension the AI tool's user, would. I mean, just look at the name of that Atify summary. Alternative solution to Unity's failed plan? You can kind of see where it got that from in my title, but it's meaningless. It's not at all what I'm talking about. It's not even what the rest of the recap is talking about. Oh, and all throughout, the timestamps are noticeably off too, so even if there was a modicum of value in these recaps for their users' more in-depth chapter markers as a tool for jumping in and watching only the precise sections you're interested in, shocker, that doesn't work either. All of this is also true beyond summaries of my videos, of course. The Reddit recap of that Richard Lewis video has the standard issue inaccurate timestamps, along with some straightforward misquotes. Even my steely resolve wasn't enough to make it through Lewis's whole video, so I may be missing some examples, but here's a couple. Lewis doesn't ever say that the Counter-Strike player JKS wasn't ghosted by G2 ahead of getting benched. He admits he was, but attempts to downplay the fact.
Literally, there was a period of 2 weeks where, while they got the Nexa deal over the line, they didn't respond to him. It's so unprofessional! It's the worst thing in all.
Similarly, he never says that JKS's replacement Nexa is a better leader than JKS. Nexa probably is a better leader. Lewis praises Nexa's leadership potential, but not in a comparison to JKS, because that hasn't ever been JKS's role. Anyone who knows the subject matter would realize the way this user's LLM recapped this point of Lewis's video is misphrased. I'm kind of shocked they didn't editorialize and correct it themselves before posting, but the people reading this recap instead of watching Lewis's video wouldn't know that Lewis didn't make this blunder himself, just as they wouldn't know the recap gets Lewis's words on JKS's benching wrong. Now, I'm not particularly fond of Lewis as a personality, and I think his journalistic skills are leagues above his skills as an analyst. I don't agree with a lot of the video in question, but that's one thing. Potentially having that kind of negative response to things he didn't say to begin with, that's another prospect entirely. This is the biggest reason tools like these and their increasing prevalence worries me. It's the idea that creators could start to get judged against things they never said. The idea that erroneous recaps can birth misinformation from meticulously researched videos and put it out under our name. Hey, where did you get that goofy-ass misunderstanding of techno-feudalism? Oh, from Pillar of Garbage on YouTube, I think. Oh, and where did you get that unsupported notion that the Dairy Girls finale is about a Michael Longley poem? Oh yeah, same place. It's already easy enough to get misquoted on this site without AI helping out. Don't get me wrong, this isn't a big problem. Yet. For me, it's been a stray webpage and a handful of comments. I'm sure bigger creators than I have been recapped far more. I'm sure some viewers have come away from AI summaries with misplaced ideas about what a creator has said or thought, but as of yet, this is all pretty small scale. You've probably not even noticed one yourself yet. But what has the explosion in popularity of online generative AI tools shown us, if not the fact that inaccuracy doesn't stop fads from blowing up? So I think we'd all do well to be aware of the risks here, of the way seemingly sensible tools like these could end up raising higher the tide of online misinformation. But that isn't quite the end. See, after I wrote the above section, I spent a while longer playing around with TammyAI's recap capabilities, feeding it my videos and sifting through the recaps it gave me. They ranged from the inaccurate, to the contradictory, to the mushily defanged. Why yes, TammyAI, heel versus babyface does have a history of controversial comments regarding gender and sexuality. How meaningfully you paraphrase. And then I hit the paywall. Because TammyAI is monetized, because of course it is. And that's really the last piece of the puzzle, isn't it? We talked earlier about the contentification of the internet, the way many now view creative works in algorithmic terms, as content. Again, this clearly is the lens through which TammyAI's creators are viewing YouTube. Think back to that ad.
Tedious scrolling through lengthy videos. Say goodbye to time-consuming searches. YouTube's potential. A world flooded with videos, the heart of the content, encapsulates the video's essence.
I think the people behind tools like this see YouTube videos as a sort of trick pulled by the creator, in which a handful of interesting lines and a whole lot of waffle are transmuted into watch time and ad revenue. They see a way to one-up those tricksters, sifting through the dross of a long, boring YouTube video, extracting that handful of moments, cutting through introductions and context, and citations and storytelling. That's what the viewer really wants, right? TammyAI is Rumpelstiltskin at his wheel. Pay him not with your child, but by signing up for the premium membership, and it's all yours. Summaries, recaps, threads of gold to be spun from masses of straw. But that's not how I see my videos. Sure, I have to keep an awareness of all that algorithmic stuff in the back of my mind when choosing what to make and when, the broad strokes of how I can and can't approach certain things, but and I think most creators other than content farms, try to put that out of mind as much as possible. Be guided by passion and authenticity into making things which we feel matter, which have identities beyond that of amorphous product sludge that content culture tries to assign. I see my videos, I imagine you lot see my videos, very differently to how it seems the TammyAI or 8ify creators do. So when I see the anonymous, slimline corporate summaries spat out by this tool or that, the ones that get my words wrong or strip the color and grain from the points those words make, when I see the feeble attempts to paywall this, the irony becomes impossible to miss. They've got the wheel the wrong way round. They're pulling straw from gold. This is contentification personified, the ensludgifying of art. This isn't worth mined painstakingly from content, it's content mined from worth. It's the classic story of business freaks looking at a creative field, seeing only the numbers, assuming that's all anyone else sees too, and scrabbling desperately for a few more of them. Historically, that scrabbling doesn't tend to be great for the health of the field in question. As for this time, I suppose time will tell. Thank you for watching this, my first video of 2024. Editing pillar of garbage here, that's not true, I made the other one, this is the second video. This may well end up being the sink or swim year for this channel. To that end, I'm going to be trying a few different things out with my videos and their schedule over the next 12 months or so, but if you'd like to help out, there's always a YouTube or Patreon membership. I'm not going to do a big promo read here, I'll just say that Dairy Girls video I mentioned a bit earlier, go give that a watch. That's probably the best pitch I can give for the quality of video I'll be able to aim for every time, if I can one day get to a point where I'm not relying on the algorithm for most of my income. To that end, I'd like to give a huge shout out to everyone already supporting me on screen now, especially Hanan, Daniel Goldhorn, Karen Kuhlman, Magath, Ryan Emily, Something Capitalism Bad, Thomas R, and Weirdy Beardy. See you soon.